Please carries.
Zoning docket number ZC-10-191. This is an ordinance amending the City of Fort Worth zoning ordinance for a text amendment regarding boat dock standards. The recommendation is for approval as amended.
Mr. Burdette, I have a number of speakers, but I want to make sure that they are addressing your motion and everyone understands the motion before us.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. This is before us on a recommendation from the Zoning Commission with regard to the ordinance which would put in place standards for construction of boat docks on Lake Worth. I believe that there should be some amendments made. I asked the staff to advise all of the neighbors and neighborhood associations last week, and I think that was done. And I'm proposing to amend several aspects of it. I think everybody has seen copies of those changes that I'm going to propose. I would shoreline frontage I would change from up to 80 feet up to 100 feet. The maximum square feet structure would be 1,000 square feet. If it's 101 feet or more, then the structure's maximum size would be determined by the linear feet of the shoreline times 10 rather than 15, not to exceed 1,600 square feet. These figures of both 10 and 1,600 were contained in one of the earlier proposals in the iteration of this matter. I'm also proposing that the maximum length of the sidewall permitted from the top of the sidewall down would be 2 feet instead of 4 feet in both instances. So those are the changes that I think those are the ones that people want to address this evening.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. You've heard the motion and second. That is the motion before us. And with that, we'll begin the cards. I do have a number of speakers tonight. I would ask to whatever degree you are able to not replicate what everyone else is saying, not read to us, but tell us how you feel about this issue. Understand that this council is going to be focused on this lake as public property, not just for those who live around it, but for those who swim in it, fish in it, enjoy it like everyone else. And every time we consider doing something around the edge of the lake, then that's less area that everyone else is able to enjoy because it's captured. It's captured with a structure. You might be able to fish under it, but you're not going to be able to go where that structure is. So those are some of the discussions that we had in pre-council. I wanted you to know what the thought process of Mr. Burdette is. He's trying to look at it not just for the short term, but for the long term. And obviously we know that this lake is much more than a lake. It has the potential to be a huge reservoir for addressing the water needs of this city. It's kind of difficult to do at its present depth. It's kind of difficult to do a lot of things in this lake at its present depth. But that is where this council is focused. So as I call your name, know that you do have a 3-minute limit unless you're representing 10 people or more. If you are, and that's the card that you have turned in, then you'll be asked to have those 10 people stand. They may not turn in cards as well. It is just a matter of courtesy to respect everyone else's opinion. You might not agree with all the speakers, although everybody has signed up in favor to do something. I'm not sure exactly what. And with this motion before us, I don't know how you all feel about the motion. But I will tell you that Mr. Burdette made a very effective presentation to this council earlier, and I think all of us were listening closely. He clearly stated the case for the public good, and that is how we are going to look at this issue. So with that, Mr. Burdette, I'm sorry.
Mr. Mayor, pardon me, if I may elaborate a little bit more, and let me tell you why I want to do this. I've gotten a number of emails and letters and telephone calls since last week when I indicated I was going to make this motion. And a lot of those asked what my reasoning was, what my logic was for suggesting a change in the action taken by the Zoning Commission. So to elaborate on what you've already said, Mayor, I would like to explain that a little further before the speakers come up. As has already been said, the question here is the size of boat docks that can be put on the surface of the lake. What we have here are private landowners along the shore who want to build boat docks so they can have boat dock access onto the lake from their property and back to their property. And I think everyone is in favor of that access. I think all the deeds by which people hold these property rights or leases by which they hold leasehold rights assure them they will have certain rights to put boat docks. The question here is how big or how small should the boat dock be? And quite obviously, the larger a boat dock is, the more public property is being converted over to private use. And in this case, it would be exclusive use, except for the ability to throw a fishing pole, I guess, underneath the dock. So I think what we have here is the question of a balancing of the public rights versus the private rights. Believe me, I understand if I own some shoreline property, I'd like to build whatever I want there in terms of a boat dock, as big or small as I might like to do to accommodate whatever boat I might have or think I can afford. But we've got to balance that against the public rights here, and that's what I'm trying to do in doing this. I commend everyone who's worked for 2 years on this project to come to some conclusion. There's been a lot of time and a lot of effort put into it. But I just think, as a matter of fact, that we ought to be conservative as a council when we come to the point where we're giving a public right use for private use, which is what we're talking about here. In talking with the staff on this matter and reviewing and being at some of these public meetings that were held, it's quite obvious that there are already a number of boat docks on Lake Worth. I think it's over 300 and some boat docks out there. And it turns out that 96% of the boat docks that are there that are already constructed on the lake are 1,600 square feet or less. So that means that you only have a small handful that are greater, even currently out there, than 1,600 square feet. Those that are already built in excess of 1,600 feet would be grandfathered. There would be no requirement they be removed. They would be maintained. You can continue to maintain them, and as long as they were not enlarged, they would still stay at the same size. What this ordinance also proposes is, if somebody does wish to construct a dock in excess of 1,600 square feet, or whatever this council may approve, that can be presented to the Residential Board of Appeals, the Board of Adjustment. And that board would then have the opportunity to review the facts of that particular case, the size of the lot involved, why somebody might want a boat dock larger than 1,600 square feet, and what the reasons for it were. It would also allow an opportunity for neighbors who maybe had some concerns about a boat dock larger than that to be able to appear and talk and discuss the matter. So I think that's the more proper way to handle it. I would suspect that whatever boat size we end up with, that the appeals to the Board of Appeals for exceptions in larger boat docks would probably be very far and few between over the coming years. So that's where my reasoning is coming from. I am not, as was suggested in some of the emails, attacking the landowners or attacking the landowners' rights. The staff has not been attacking the landowners or the landowners' rights. It has not been a plot or conspiracy against the landowners or the landowners' rights or property values. It is a question of trying to balance the property values of the public, which owns the lake, and the private landowners who are on the edge of the lake. So with that long-winded explanation, let's hear from you.
All right. As we get into this conversation, I have been trying to determine from our outstanding professional staff how many square feet this room is. Anybody got any idea? I know Randall's over there frantically adding up the squares. What do y'all think?
4,500. 2,000.
Boy, did I make a mistake. Well, we were talking about 200 feet, I see, so we'll, what'd you come up with, Randall? No pressure.
I'm guessing 4,000.
4,000.
It's our price if you get around.
Okay, well, so much for that idea. All right, I'm going to call the speakers in order of three. The first speaker will be at the microphone, the second two. I appreciate you being ready. You are limited to 3 minutes. At the end of 3 minutes, you will hear a bell. At the end of that bell, I expect you to please complete your sentence, not your statement. Everybody clear? First speaker is Robert Crow, be followed by Michael Dallas and by Art Rogers. Robert, please state your name and address, but pull those microphones up to fit you. Just pull them up there pull the microphone.
I'll do it. As soon as you make sure we're on the right page here.
Okay.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. I just want to mention, I'm Robert Crow, 8416 Blue Heron Court. I support the dock issue standards as recommended by the Zoning Commission on the 8th of December, primarily for the reason of the purpose of just moving forward to more important matters as far as cleaning up the lake is concerned and those kinds of things. That's my primary motivation at this point. And that said, I'd like to express my sincere appreciation to the Mayor and the City Council for your continued support in realizing the recreational potential and also the protection of the treasured green space around this city's jewel that is known as Lake Worth. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.